Now we're working through 36 to 47. Asbestos was used as a fireproofing material in high-rise buildings, which is now known to cause lung cancer. So here we have a subordination or modification issue, subordination. And here it's the issue with the relative clause, with the which clause. Right? Because what is the which modifying? Well, normally the which modifies what it comes after, but that doesn't really make sense, right? The high-rise buildings is not known to cause lung cancer. It's asbestos. So notice that the relative pronoun which is not modifying the right thing. So there's a lot of ways to fix it. I just suggested make it a compound predicate. Asbestos was used as fireproofing material and is now known to cause lung cancer. That's one way to fix it, but again, the main thing to realize is what the original issue was with the sentence. After his amazing performance, the tournament winner that went on to get $1 million endorsement deals, but eventually fell from grace after allegations of steroid use. So this is actually multiple issues. It's, again, a fragment, but it's also a subordination issue with the relative clause, again, similar to 36, because here we have, let's see, after his amazing performance, the tournament winner, subject. Then we have that's a relative pronoun that's introducing the rest of it. But notice there's no actual main verb. This whole thing is more or less connected to this relative clause. That went on to get $1 million endorsement deals, but eventually fell from grace after allegations of steroid use. Literally, this whole thing is a unit describing the tournament winner because of the that. So one way to fix this is just get rid of the that, and now we have a complete sentence. The tournament winner went on to get $1 million endorsement deals, but eventually fell from grace after allegations of steroid use. Right? So get rid of the relative pronoun, and we don't have that fragment. We don't have a subordination issue anymore. The evidence against the defendant was overwhelming, and the jury found him innocent, much to the surprise of the public. So this is an issue of coordination, which is how you connect, again, kind of like with the comma splice, how you connect sentences, especially independent clauses, together. But the issue is not so much with the grammar or the structure of it. The issue is actually with the logic of the way the sentence is put together. Because notice what the sentence is saying. The evidence against the defendant was overwhelming, and the jury found him innocent, much to the surprise of the public. So we have two kind of contrary ideas. On the one hand, the evidence against the defendant was strong, but he was nonetheless found innocent, right? So the issue is with the logics of the end. The end usually is used to connect two similar ideas kind of moving in the same direction. Here, we don't want that. We would rather something like but or semicolon however. However you want to do it, it doesn't matter. You just got to show the contrast from one clause to the next. That's a coordination issue, and it's the coordination logics of the coordination. 39. I found my wallet returning to where we had originally set up camp. So this one's kind of a silly one once you can see the issue. It's another subordination issue. And the problem here is we see, I found my wallet returning to where we had originally set up camp. Now, wait a minute. I found my wallet when I returned to camp. It sounds like I found my wallet returning. It sounds like the wallet is returning to where. That doesn't make any sense, right? Literally, that doesn't make any sense. So this is a subordination modification issue, I should say, modification. And sometimes you'll hear this called a misplaced modifier. Misplaced modifier. There's a lot of ways to fix it. I mean, one way would be to switch it to when I returned. I found my wallet when I returned to where we had originally set up camp. That would be enough to make it clear that I was the one who returned to camp and not my wallet. 40. Luigi didn't want to be late to for the party, but his good intentions were foiled by the traffic jam. Okay, so what's going on with this one? Here we've got two complete sentences separated with a semicolon, which is okay. But then we have a conjunction. And whenever you have a semicolon, you do not need a little conjunction, a fanboy's conjunction next to the semicolon. That's the point of the semicolon, is just to connect two sentences. We don't need any more coordination. So get rid of the but, and 40 is fine. So this is a semicolon issue. The cries for justice were so insistent, and the corrupt leaders couldn't ignore them any longer. So, as I promised in a previous question, this is a word pair issue, because when we have this structure, the cries for justice were so insistent, so plus adjective, you need that instead of and. So the cries for justice were so insistent that the corrupt leaders. So this is the so, that word pair, and it's just kind of like an idiom. It just goes together and has to work that way when you are using those words, that structure. The essay is not only a grand indictment of the government's policies, it is also a fine piece of writing. Again, another word pair, and in this case, it's a word pair misuse that actually creates a comma splice. So how we fix this is when we have not only, we need but also. And that will fix the issue, right? The essay is not only a grand indictment of the government's policies, but also a fine piece of writing. So also, remember, they're parallel after each word pair. We're using the right word pair. Everything fits together. Mr. Brown and Mr. Jigsby have loaned his son nearly $1 million to start a business. This is an ambiguous pronoun issue because we see two nouns, two subjects, Mr. Brown and Mr. Jigsby. But then we see have loaned his son. Now, wait a minute. Who is the his referring to? Is it referring to Mr. Brown? Is it referring to Mr. Jigsby? You could say in some world their son, but the point is this is an ambiguous pronoun, right? We don't know who or what this is referring to. So one way to fix this would be make it clear as to whose son it is. So you can say Mr. Brown's son. So that would clear up the confusion, clear up the ambiguity. Most of the time, if you see this error, you're going to see it on an error ID just because it's not something you really too sure how you can fix. I mean, there's a lot of ways to fix it. One way would be add the noun in. I guess you could, in theory, have there. But just realize that it's an ambiguous pronoun, and that's kind of the key. The billionaire earned much praise after donating half of his wealth to charities, and this has caused many other wealthy individuals to follow suit. All right. Well, let's see what's going on here. The billionaire earned much praise after donating half his wealth to charities, and this has caused. Now, wait a minute. What is the this referring to? This is an example of a ambiguous pronoun, also more specifically a dummy pronoun. Because what noun is this referring to? It's not clear at all. We know it's referring to the billionaire's giving of money to charities. But grammatically, we don't know. Is it referring to the billionaire, the praise, I mean, it's not clear at all. So another ambiguous pronoun, and be very careful when you see it, they, this, and that. In a sentence, you have to make sure it's very clearly referring to a noun in the sentence. In this case, it's not. So one way to fix it would be to make it clear what this is referring to. So we could do that by adding generosity, because then it's clear that it's the generosity of the billionaire that caused this, and that clears up the confusion. I fought against the committee's decision with all my energy, but they are still moving forward with the plan. So another kind of dummy pronoun, but also in some sense a pronoun agreement / dummy pronoun issue. Always watch out for they, because in this case, it is more of a dummy pronoun actually, because notice the they cannot refer to any specific noun in the sentence, because this is an adjective, right, referring to the decision, which is the noun. The committee, first off, even if it were it still wouldn't be quite right, because in SAT speak, you got to have a specific noun in the sentence that's referring to, and there's no specific noun here. This is noun-ish, but it's an adjective because it's describing the decision. So one way to fix it would be to make it clear, get rid of the pronoun, and this is often what you see in dummy pronoun questions. They'll just put the right answer will have the noun that's important there instead of a pronoun. So we can just throw the committee in there, and that would be good enough. It's quite funny to think that I and my 4 brothers became a lawyer after college. Now, this is a noun agreement error because it's not at all obvious or clear how 5 people can become a lawyer. So we can just make this became lawyers. These beautifully maintained national parks are a place for all of us to return to nature and breathe some fresh air. Again, another noun agreement issue because we've got multiple parks becoming a place. So we can make this places, plural, everything fits together.